Welcome back then. Let's focus on NCL Industries. Remember the South-based cement company, they reported a rather good set of numbers in a difficult quarter. Yes, the volumes degrew by close to around 12% odd, but otherwise the margins were something that the street liked. And we here at CNBC TV18 have been constantly telling you that companies with exposure to Andhra Pradesh as well as Telangana, they'll gain because of pricing. But what's the way ahead? We have Mr. Ravi who joins us to tell us exactly that. Hi, Mr. Ravi. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, sir, the last time we spoke, you told us that for the year, you're targeting sales volume of around 2.1 million tons. If you could tell us whether or not that's still on. I asked this because in the first quarter, you've degrown by more than 10%. Give us a sense on that. And you were functioning at 100% capacity utilization levels in the past. As of now, is it still at higher levels? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. See, Nigel, the first month, that is the month of April, gone totally a washout because of lockdown.
Yes.
And then things started improving because the rural markets, the demand was good and the projects, so we could do 100% for the next 2 months. And cement margins were also good, and cement really performed very well in the first quarter. And that is still continuing, except now because of the heavy rains and floods. But this is only a temporary phase. And whereas the other divisions of the company, unfortunately, could not perform. See, like Bison Panel, Wood Cement Particle Board, the Bombay and Delhi markets were closed, so the capacity utilization was not much. And our RMC business did not perform to the expectation because the builders,
Mr. Ravi,
there were no...
Mr. Ravi, Mr. Ravi, we have been speaking to you, in the last couple of months as well, and you've been telling us that things are difficult, particularly for the other divisions. But what we want to focus on is your core, your cement business, because that's bulk of your revenue and bulk of your profitability. So, our viewers, your investors, they would like to know from you whether or not you can do 2.1 million tons in this year. That's what you had guided for last time around. Yes. And also, you're functioning at higher capacity utilization levels. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that definitely will be able to achieve that in spite of April month going. We will be able to achieve that target of 2.1 million easily. That is my feeling, Nigel.
Fair point there, Mr. Ravi. Then just a word on your EBITDA per ton, because that did rather well. What was your EBITDA per ton this time around, and what's your target for the remainder of this year?
Yeah, EBITDA per ton is close to 1,400 rupees. And EBITDA is about 65 crores, about 64.9 crores. That's what we declared in the first quarter.
What's the outlook with regard to the EBITDA per ton? Can you hold on to this number of around 1,400 rupees per ton for the year? And also, I wanted to ask you, you had a couple of cost-saving measures, like the waste heat recovery system that was likely to come on stream. When does that come on stream? In the next few months?
Yes, that is going to come on stream by December.
Okay.
In between, there was slight setback because of the COVID. So now we are back on it, and we'll be able to commission it definitely by December this year.
So how much would that...
8 megawatts of power, 8 megawatts of waste heat power.
How much would that aid your margins by? How much cost savings would happen because of this?
About 25 crores will be able to save per annum.
Okay.
After once we commission that.
So 25 crores will be in FY22 then, right?
25 crores, yes.
In FY22, we'll be able to see that benefit.
Correct. Very right, yes.
Just doing a bit of math, you said you'll do close to around 1,400 rupees per ton in terms of EBITDA per ton. At the same time, you are, guiding for 2.1 million tons. You multiply these two numbers, the EBITDA is close to around 290 odd crores for this year. This compares with 140 crores that you did in FY20. Is that manageable?
You can't multiply. See, the prices were good in the first quarter, and it's not going to continue like this throughout the year.
So what are the prices now, and what sort of EBITDA per ton are you targeting for the remainder of this year?
Yeah, about 600 to 700 rupees per year definitely will be able to achieve the per ton.
Mr. Ravi, you're being very conservative now. You're doing 1,400 rupees in the first quarter, and now you're saying you do 600 to 700 rupees per ton. So let's be a bit realistic, and let's give our viewers a better sense in terms of what you can do. So let's ask you a two-part question then.
It can be better than this, but see, the first quarter was luckily the market was starving. The first, so And with that, I mean, we could really pump a lot of cement into the market and encash that before the others could move into the market.
Okay.
And now see all the others also, they are in the race, and this price, the margins are going to come down slightly.
Yeah.
But the overall demand is seems to be okay. As I said, the worst is over.
Right.
Now I think the cement is going to perform well in this year.
All right. So demand is good, sir, is what we understand. But what about pricing? I remember, in June or in May, we saw prices that were very, very strong out there. So if you could tell us, given that it's a seasonal part, monsoons, you have prices that are coming down, compare the price today and compare it with what it was at the highs in, say, May and June. How much lower is it? Is it 20 rupees lower, 30 rupees lower, 40 rupees lower? Give us a sense.
About 40 rupees lower, but even month of July also we have performed well.
Okay.
Now it's only month of this month, August, see, because of the heavy rains and the floods, I think the market is slightly going down. This will improve, I think, probably next month onwards again, this will improve.
All right, fair point. Then you are sounding reasonably confident for the remainder of this year. Mr. Ravi, then if you could tell us what's the current debt on your books and what's your repayment plan? What's your capex plan for this year?
Yeah, about 350 crores is the debt on the books as on date, including working capital. And we have taken up a project, about 200 crores, a grinding unit near Vizag. We are adding for about 2,000 tons per day capacity grinding unit.
Okay.
And also we are modernizing our line 1. See, where we have all those old ball mills, we are replacing all those ball mills with a vertical roller mill. See, totally we are spending about 200 crores on this project.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, Mr. Ravi, thanks so much for joining and giving us a sense about what's the way ahead. Important to note that prices in South India or in AP Telangana, where NCL Industries does operate, that's down by nearly around 40 rupees odd. So keep that in mind. Yes, it's the monsoon, so you're expecting prices to fall, but 40 rupees is not a very, very small number. So in that sense, profitability in quarter 2 as well gets impacted. Well, let's move on then and let's tell you about the European markets. I think they just opened up. Remember, in yesterday's trading session, they had a good session actually. You had, resources companies that did well. You had the travel and tourism companies that got hit. But for starters, the European markets are opening up on the back foot with a cut of around 0.5% to around 0.8%. These are the initial rates that are coming in there. We'll do an update in just a bit in terms of what are the other rates. Well, we'll slip into a short break. You come back. We'll turn our attention to the commodity corner. We'll have Manisha Gupta who will join us and run us through various details. And also this time around, we'll get an update coming in from the IMD. Stay with us.